Hey everyone, Catch 'em All Collectibles here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about cash flow in Pokemon. I've talked about it several times, several different videos, and I've had a couple good rants on it in live streams, but this is going to be the designated video for cash flow, different types of accounts that I recommend and that I use personally for moving cash. Given that I do consignments, feel free to reach out if you want to consign your cards through Fanatics, eBay. Um, Given that I do a lot of my own sales, flipping Pokemon cards, buying raw collections, buying all these different things, and then selling them, I also consign. I move a lot of money in a year. In 2023, it amounted to about $2 million. Year to date, I've done over $2 million in sales already. I'll probably be around 3 by the end of the year, if not higher. So this video will be discussing the various ways in which I move money, the various ways in which I've been very frustrated with how moving money works in 2024. It feels like so many things about our life, our reality that we live in today. You had told me 20 years ago, like AI and all these different things, having a supercomputer in your pocket blows my mind. But when it comes to banking, it's like we're living in 1950. It feels like. So let me elaborate there what I mean. Um, so if you ever have consigned with me, maybe if you sold your collection to me, the main payout methods that I do include Wise. I used to use Wise for ACH transfers. I have some Japanese sourcers that I pay directly, or whatever country it may be where you have to actually convert currency. Maybe they want to be paid in pounds. Maybe they want to be paid in uh, yen, whatever it may be. Wise, I will say, is a highly recommended service when it comes to converting money. I know I've converted money through a credit card, a lot of international fees, things of that sort. Converting USD and any conversions made through PayPal, very, very high fees. The way that they get you, they don't call it a fee, they just give you a bad conversion rate. If you compare the conversion rates between PayPal and Wise will win every time. I know right here I'm just showing USD to USD. I did do inspect element to ensure that none of my consigners information was shown here. But yeah, let me just kind of work my way through here. I know I'm throwing a lot at you already. But so moving 5 grand. Say I'm buying a $5,000 collection from you. Say I'm paying out a $5,000 worth of consignment sales. $1.13. I send 5, you get 49.98.87. Pretty reasonable to me. It arrives in seconds. This feels like 2024 moving money. I mean, $1.13. Let me actually do the math really quickly. $1.13 on $5,000, and I believe it is a flat $1.13 fee. I think the highest I've ever sent is maybe like 50 grand, and it was the same $1.13. I don't think I've ever sent like 100. Definitely never sent like 1 million. I don't know if it would be the same or not. But anyways, pretty reasonable to me. Uh, if you do it from a connected bank account, it's usually a business day or two. That's where it starts to get like, why are we taking days instead of seconds, minutes, or maybe even hours? Uh, Here's one where I actually added money. So I mentioned that at times I'm buying from a Japanese supplier, whatever it may be. In this instance, I was adding $45,000. I set up my transfer on August 1st, and it took 6 days. Part of talking about cash flow is king. The main thing that will cause business failure is lack of cash flow, more specifically. If you don't have the money to pay your bills on time, to do the things you need to do, and when it takes this long to move it, that is just such a detriment to business when you're trying to move through multi-millions of dollars in a year, and it's taking you nearly a week just to move it from one account to the other. Like, what are we doing here? Again, it's 2024 as I record this. How is this a thing? How is this a thing? In this instance, it cost 0.3% to add money. 0.3% sounds fairly small, but to pay $126 to move $45,000 feels like a lot to me. I don't know. Some people might see that as cheap. Some people might see that as expensive. One thing that I did though, so I had part of the reason that I used Wise, as I said, was for international transfers, which I would still highly recommend and which I still will do in the future. I had been, though, utilizing Wise. Let me go full screen for a minute here. I had been utilizing Wise to pay out consigners, regular ACH, regular wire payments. And the reason for that was because I had a credit union. I'm gonna get a little ranty here because the banking system, the credit system, the entire thing just infuriates me to no end. I had a credit union, which I do like a lot of things about my credit union, but one deal breaker for me, having a business account at my credit union, the only way I could wire or ACH money was to go into the branch, sit down with a human being, and they would have to either type up and print out, and then I had to sign on paper, or we would just fill out by hand, like writing numbers on a piece of paper so that somebody can go fax it over to the other branch, and then somebody there can go onto a computer and do the thing. It's like, what is going on? What I had actually sent 2 or 3 wires through my former credit union, former business. I still have the account. I still need to like wind it down. So many eBay, TCG Player, so many things are going into that account. I need to spend a couple weeks and ensure that I get everything transitioned over. But I guess shout out Chase, shout out JP Morgan Chase. They are my new home. They're my new home for business banking because the thing that they offer now I don't have to go to Wise to do ACH transfers. Now I don't have to go to Wise to do wires. And instead of having to load the money up, paying 0.3% to get USD to USD into my account so that I could pay it out as USD to my consigners, which was just crazy. And then sometimes it taking a week to front load that money, it made no sense. And I think I showed it too. But if I were to instead, well, Dan, why would you front load the money when you're just doing USD to USD? Why don't you do it straight from your bank account? Well, now instead of paying 113, you're paying 1539. 1539, I believe, is actually that same 0.3% that it charged me to load the money. But yeah, you're paying 0.3% now. I don't want that money. I don't want, like, if it's $1.13, that's feels reasonable enough to me. Once you get 0.3% for every $100,000 I move, that would be $300. And again, it's not like I'm moving $10,000 in a year. I'm moving millions of dollars in a year. So you're talking to the tune of like 5 figures worth of fees I would have been paying, but now through Chase, I will be paying. So to send a standard ACH, real time ACH. Well, again, one thing that frustrates me with banking, it's like the options are there to move the money quicker, but they charge you like a percent. They charge you, I know PayPal has it too. If you withdraw your money from PayPal, you can withdraw it free, and it's like next day, maybe 2 or 3 business days, via like a standard ACH transfer or whatever they use. But if you want to expedite it, if you want to get it immediately, 1.5%. If you are constantly paying the 1.5% fee on PayPal to get your money out, if you are constantly paying the 1% fee, like the amount of money people spend to get their own money, like going back to my video where I talked about spending someone else's money, I still stand by that credit card video. I still stand by, if you are a credit card person that will pay off all your statement balances in full, not pay the obscene credit card interest rates that they charge, I think spending someone else's money is great. But when you're spending money to get your own money because you don't have your cash flow situation sorted out, you really need to be careful, because the banks will just milk you dry of your own money if you are being super impatient, if you don't have things sorted, if you don't have things forecasted, planned out to where you can be patient and wait for the bank to do its super slow thing. But yeah, I guess it's slightly more. So the first 10 payments I send in a month, I believe, and then there'll be 15 cents after, unless it's for my whole account. Hopefully it's for my whole account. Hopefully it'll be 250 for my first 10 payments entirely. I feel like it's probably more likely monthly though. And 15 cents per ACH after that. Daily limit of $100,000. That will cover me for most of my consignment weeks. So there might be some consignment weeks where I have to actually do a little bit of well, I guess I might just have to pay out a little bit a day early. Say it's a massive consignment block at Fanatics. I've actually had 2 individual weeks at Fanatics go over $100,000. Generally speaking, you don't get a 100% payout rate within the first week though. So if I sell 100,000 in a week and the prior week was only 30 grand, I might be paying out the last 10 grand from the prior week. I might only be paying out 50 grand of that 100 grand for that week, and then the next 50 grand will be the following week during a week. So if I have back to back, if I get to where every single week is $100,000, I might have to call them. I might have to get that increased. Maybe I can get a higher number for that, but or I can just pay out 2 separate days to get across that as well. And then Zelle. So again, for anyone who consigns with me, do I have that? I don't have that here. So let me go back to here. For anyone who consigns with me, the main ways in which I've paid out to date have been PayPal Friends and Family, I will pay out. Again, that PayPal Friends and Family is for domestic only, or in USD only, because the conversion rates are terrible. If you are international, if you want to be paid in pounds, in yen, in Australian dollars, whatever it may be, it pretty much has to be ACH. That's the only thing that makes sense. Or crypto. Crypto is another one that I'm gonna actually show you an example of how much it costs, how quick it moves, because yeah, to me, like the amount of time it takes to move money through Wise, through even through this, like next day, next business day, most of the time it's gonna be fine as long as you've got your cash flow situation under control. But why are we dealing in hours and days when we could be dealing in seconds and minutes? It feels like for many things. One great thing, one of the most requested things that I had been asked, an additional part of why I now use Chase for my business banking, is Zelle. Zelle has been my most frequently requested thing at conventions. It had been my most frequently requested consigner payout method that I didn't have access to. I believe it has low-ish limits. I'm not entirely sure what they are, so I'll have to navigate through that as I get to it. But yeah, if you want to be paid out via Zelle for when I buy a collection from you, for when I am paying out you consignment wise, if you want to pay me with Zelle at a convention, I can now take that. I now have that ability, which is great. But yeah, let me go back. There was one thing I wanted to show here once I get to my really ranty thing. Uh an additional thing that I'm kind of like working through right now, cash flow related. Like one of the things that you might have to, sorry, I forgot I had that there. One of the things that you'll run into from time to time when you are a large business and you are moving money around, not large, larger than I used to be. Larger than I used to be. Definitely not a large business by any stretch of the imagination. But so yeah, let me do a combination of showing my additional frustration with the banking system, showing my additional frustration with the whole credit system. I'm gonna get like all over the place here. I apologize for that in advance, but um, with this Chase bank account, what I did was I went to my credit union and I got what is called a bank check or a certified check. So a normal check, if you write from your checkbook, that money doesn't come out of your account until they deposit it at the other bank. A certified check, they take the money out of your bank account while you're there. They print the check. A manager signs the check if it's over a certain number. $50,000 certified check I got from my credit union. Part of the reason I didn't write a regular business check was because I figured they would hold that for 2 or 3 weeks because that's what they do. That's what banks like to do. If you get paid with a check, a personal check, a business check from another business, they will often hold them for 5, 10, 15 business days until they are certain that the funds are there. How banks cannot communicate with the Fed, with the other banks, whoever they're communicating to verify that's real money, blows my mind. But that's what certified checks are supposed to solve. I went for my credit union at like 10. It said even on the timestamp on the thing. I think I got it at like 10 a.m. I deposited it in my Chase bank account by like 10:20 a.m. They're quite physically close, and there was a very short line at the time that I went. One thing I love about my credit union, there's almost never any line, but now I'm gonna have to stand in the Chase line from time to time. Look at this though. Hopefully I'm not showing anything I have to blur. I don't think I am. But let me scroll over. So where are we? My present balance is $74,805. My available balance is only $24,805. Do the quick math. That's a $50,000 difference. Why, you say? They put an 11 calendar day hold on my certified check. I told them, I said, hey, this is not just a regular business check. Like, look, I just literally came from my credit union. Call them, verify, however certified checks work. Like, verify with them that this is real money because it is. And they're like, oh, yep, still, we have to hold it for that long. Like, what's the point of a certified check then? Should I have, another funny thing I can rant on, should I have just taken out $50,000 cash? One, my credit union probably wouldn't have been too happy with that. Maybe they wouldn't have even had that in the things. Maybe they would have had to go to the vault. I don't know. I would have not been comfortable doing that, obviously. The risk of a certified check versus the risk of like money in a backpack or whatever. Chase has a limit on how much cash you can deposit in any given day or week, and I believe it's like $15,000. So another additional benefit to having like a Chase bank account is that if I go to a convention, say I make a ton of sales, and say I stay overnight on Sunday to a Monday, instead of having to fly back with a large amount of cash, I've talked to other vendors who do this too. Them vending it in Dallas. My credit union isn't in Dallas. Chase will have a branch in Dallas. Again, banks 2024, they're not open on Saturdays most of the time. They're never open on Sundays as far as I understand. But maybe in big cities they are. I don't even know. But like, why can't I move money and do things outside of these arbitrary like banking hours and what the holidays are? And so that's where I'm not gonna be like a crypto shill. I don't have anything to sell you. I'm not trying to tell you to invest in anything when it comes to crypto. But shout out to crypto. I again did an inspect element so that people can't identify what consignor I was paying out and where. I covered up the transaction hash. But I guess you can see the date and time. But there were probably lots of hundreds or thousands of transactions at that date and time. Anyways, um, $35,700. I moved in seconds to minutes, and it cost me 82 cents. Why? Like again, I'm not gonna shill crypto. That was just USDC. That was literally not even like a fancy crypto. That was not. I'm not gonna name cryptos because I don't want to be. Uh, I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to shill any of them. But yeah, literally USDC. I moved it in seconds to minutes, and it cost me 82 cents to move $35,000. Let me do the quick math. That is I mean, I can't even. Yeah, 0.000226. So that times 100 would be its percentage. That was a 0.02% fee to move $35,000 in seconds. Irreversibly, like so many great things about that. I do, again, if you want to consign with me, I do pay out. And now I pay out in Zelle, PayPal Friends and Family, ACH, and then Zelle. Old school. Some of my people are very old school. They want an actual check just sent to them in the mail. I do that as well. So yeah, that is a little bit about my rants and raves about different things with banking, how I move money as a larger business. I still stand by everything I said in that video on spending someone else's money. But one kind of pro tip I wanted to share at the end. I think one small error that I had made, maybe not super small even, kind of large depending on how you're doing it and if you're accounting for it on your taxes correctly. So I think I mentioned in that video, like say you spend $1 million in a year. If you spend $1 million in a year on a 2% credit card, that's $20,000 in rewards. 2%, not 2% interest rate, 2% rewards credit card. That's $20,000 in rewards you'll be getting kicked back to you. That's massive. But if you were to simply take the $20,000 and apply it as statement balances, per the IRS, the way that they want you to account for that. Now, instead of buying $1 million worth of stuff, you didn't do that actually. You bought $1 million minus the $20,000 rebate that you effectively got. Your cost basis in that inventory you bought is only $980,000. So I think this is actually something that a lot of people do improperly, likely through ignorance, maybe some amount through intentionally doing it, but I would not recommend that. But yeah, if you get if you get cash back, if you get statement credits for your rewards, you actually have to take that as a rebate on your purchase price. Whereas if you claim them for maybe personal travel, if you claim them for other personal expenses, the IRS has basically deemed that too complex to try and police, to try and pursue. So what I used to do, I used to basically take it as a rebate. I used to take it as a, now I've moved into doing as much as I can reasonably and easily enough, claiming those towards personal expenses, because it allows you to get the benefit of spending money through your business and then getting like discounts on your personal stuff through the use of the rewards. Whereas otherwise you just have to rebate your purchase price, rebate and lower your cost of goods sold, your cost of inventory. That's a little pro tip I wanted to throw in there at the end. But yeah, let me know what you think. Are you happy? Are you pleased with the banking system? Let me share with you. I'll save it for the very end. The juicy stuff that really ground my gears. That really became like the thing that lit a fire under me to finally get this done. Because I've been thinking about doing this, switching from my credit union to a bank for several months, and I just haven't done it. My money got tied up a few months back with Yada. Yada is not FDIC insured. neither is Wise. I was getting to where I was having fifty to $100,000 as like an average balance flowing, not even flowing through my Wise, but sitting in my Wise account, and that was unacceptable risk to me. I Yeah, Wise is not a bank. Wise is not FDIC insured, and I would tread with like I don't think it's gonna get yada. I don't think the money will be tied up, but I have $10,000 tied up with Yada. That's been tied up for 6 months, I believe, and no end in sight as to when I can access that money. That is not acceptable. That is not an acceptable risk to do with consigner money. To do with money that is towards paying out people for the items they consign with me. Now all the money will go from Fanatics to my Chase Bank account. All the money will go from eBay to my Chase Bank account. I don't think it will ever be a problem, but FDIC insurance limit is $250,000. I've never had $250,000 as far as I can recall in my bank account all at one time. So I don't think that will be an issue. Maybe I guess I was slightly over that for a short time when I made the Charizard sale. So I did have one exception. There was a short time for a couple days maybe where I was slightly above the FDIC insurance limit of $250,000 for my business bank account through my credit union. But that was an exceptional time. Hopefully I have more of those in the future. But always have to keep things like this in mind. They are obviously the level at which you're doing business is going to be affected by, like, some of these concerns won't be for everybody. These concerns weren't relevant to me 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, but they are today. And yeah, another thing that happened too. So the risk of not having Wise be FDIC insured, 2 wires. I had an inbound wire coming to my credit union. The whole wire system, I have no idea functionally, mechanically how it works, but I had a payout coming in from somebody who bought a big they bought out a bunch of my inventory at a convention, and the day the convention ended, they sent me a wire. My credit union did not call me, they did not email me, they did not text me. They have all those means of communication to me. This person sent it to my proper routing address, they sent it to my proper account number, and they sent it to Dan, and they used the bank's address. So they used the bank's address and they sent it to Dan instead of saying like my full name, instead of saying, but like my name and my business name is on my account. They reversed it. They sent it back without any notice to me. So my bank declined an incoming wire for nearly $20,000 without notifying me whatsoever. I called them up and they said, we're too busy. We get too many wires. We can't reasonably. I'm like, how many do you? Oh, well, we're not going to tell you how many we reverse in a day, how many we decline in a day. So strike one, that was like strike one. A couple days later, I sent an outbound wire to somebody. Archaic process of having to go in, sit down with somebody, type things out, sign. They sent. I requested 23,000. They sent 23,000. Or sorry, I requested 23,500, and they sent 23,000. Sent the wrong number. Part of the reason too, I asked them if they were going to add ACH and wire to the online credit union website at any point in the future. They said no, because the risk is too high. If anyone were to ever make any mistakes, this, that, it would just cause a lot of headaches. Ironic how I went in, I went through them, they did their whole dealio, and they sent the wrong amount on my behalf. They apologized. I think they rebated me the $15 fee that they had charged me to send a wire. But like, what is going on here? A couple other banking for anyone who's here. For anyone who's here for it. If you're here, you're here for another few minutes. Banking in 2024. I rolled over an IRA for my former employer last year or 2 years ago. It was a 6-figure sum, and it's like, I understand that when you're selling a large amount of index funds or things like that, there's going to be a slight variance in how much money you actually capture and how much money you get. But the way that I understood it, like, I clicked a button that said, sell everything and roll it into this new account, my IRA. And instead of like doing it and then waiting however long it took to verify exactly what the amount was, they sold everything for me, transferred the amount of money, the max amount of money that I checked. And then a week or two later, I had 55 cents or 62, whatever it was. I had a balance left in that account that I had to then go through the whole process. Like, things had to be physically mailed with a 70-cent stamp. Employees had to look at that. Employees had to like act to roll over 50 something cents into my IRA. Like how can Vanguard not, or how can, who was it? Mass Mutual? I forget who my old employer 401k was through. How can they not communicate the proper amount to withdraw and roll over into my Vanguard account? Additional, a few years ago, I had the fortunate 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago exactly actually, I paid off my house early. I paid off my 15-year mortgage in 1 year because Evolutions went crazy. I think I still owe YouTube a case study video on that. I've talked about it a few times for the past year or two probably. That might be my most long talked about video that I've not gone back and done. And unless I have. I don't think I did though. Evolutions case study video. Kind of like just going through my thoughts, my feelings, how all that went, and how I sold a lot of it too early, but I still paid off my house with Evolutions. Anyways, similar thing. I wanted to pay off my house. It's like, hey, I have money. I owe you money. Let's finish that because I hate you. I hate you. I hate banks. I hate credits. I hate all of it. TransUnion, Experian, Equifax, all of it. I just want to opt out of it. Delete my social security number because it got leaked years ago through some hack, whatever it was, and I had accounts opened for me under, well, not for me, accounts opened through me, through my information in like Florida, under all my, so I have perpetually had all my accounts frozen for the past 3 years, 4 years, however many years it was. Anyways, continue on with the rant. When I paid off my mortgage, it's like, hey, bank, credit union, you have money, pay. And it was through the credit union. I got my mortgage through the credit union. I think it was some other company who like managed the loan that I actually made my payments to. But it's like, credit union, you have my money. Credit union mortgage servicer, you need my money. Take this money from here, and then like, I don't want to owe you anymore for the mortgage. I just want to pay it off. And they're like, oh well, we can estimate how much we owe you because I think it's compounded. It's not compounded like weekly, monthly. It's compounded continuously. It's compounded like continuously. I believe the way they do mortgages. It's like, round it up then. Take an extra 50 cents for your trouble. I do not want to have 50 cents left over. I don't want to like overpay you and get a rebate back, and I don't want to underpay you and then have to pay you again. Because like the cost to send a wire, the cost to send an ACH, blah blah blah. I've gone through that this whole video. And I paid off my mortgage, and then a week later, they hit me up and they said, hey, you owe us like 70 cents, or you owe us like $1.50. And I had to like do a wire again. And I think the amount was so small that the continuously compounding interest at the 3% interest rate that I paid, they were able to forecast it far enough ahead that I didn't overpay, I didn't underpay. But it's like, what are we doing, banks? What are we doing? And I think the US is exceptionally bad. I think international stuff has it figured out a lot better. Maybe international people will be laughing in the comments below. Let me know if I'm just really unlucky with all this. Let me know. Did you get yada'd? Have you ever had issues with Wise? Do you like using it? Chase, credit unions. Vent all your frustrations like I did in this video, if you have any, with modern banking. And if there are any easy solutions for the things that I'm going through. Hopefully, and ideally, I think the solution was to get Chase. I think a lot of things will be resolved having Chase. I really hope so. But yeah, that is it for today. A nice 30-minute Dan rant to start your week, to close out your Monday, I guess. But yeah, as always, I appreciate you all watching. I will catch you all later.